Kirapat didn't know whether the threats would really scare someone like Tathep. She thought they might work, but the most painful thing for him would be realizing that his own flesh and blood had left this world by his own hands. Of course, that was a lie she had constructed, planting those thoughts into his mind. At least when that child grew up, Karakanok would be the one to decide whether to let her child know that it once had a cruel father. But right now, what worried her was the wound on her neck. You said you'd be careful. What kind of careful is this? Why is your neck injured like this? If he had pressed harder or done something worse, would you still be sitting here letting me nag you like this? That was just a moment that startled me. That's because you were careless. You thought you could control the situation, but it turns out you couldn't. This is the consequence of carelessness. Kirapat let out a soft sigh. She wasn't used to seeing such harshness revealed. More than stubbornness, this girl was usually gentle with her, not as fierce as she was now. Aren't you going to treat my wound first? No, babe. Kirapat spoke softly. She wasn't annoyed by her lover's actions, just hoping she would soften a little. You once told me that if I got hurt, you would feel double the pain. But I never paid attention, did I? Don't be mad at me. This is something I couldn't control. Bonita sighed. She wasn't upset, but she was angry. Angry because the other kept putting herself in dangerous situations. She was certain that if she weren't stopped, she would do something even more reckless. So, how would you feel if I ended up with another scar? This isn't a wound on your hand or leg, PE Queen. It's on your neck. It's very dangerous. Bonita couldn't finish speaking before she had to swallow back her sobs. The image of that day, when she was stabbed and fell, still lingered vividly in her memory. No matter how hard she tried, she couldn't erase it from her heart. She wasn't afraid of them breaking up or being separated because the other person no longer loved her. What scared her was the future, having to live in this world without Kirapat by her side. Kirapat hugged Bonita's trembling body tightly, knowing she had been holding back her emotions ever since the hospital. After attacking Tathep, she had been taken by the police for questioning because of Karakanok's testimony, along with the very obvious wounds on her body. I'm fine, babe. I'm safe now. I'm scared, P-Queen. Kirapat bit her lip until it bled, silently cursing herself hundreds, thousands of times. Those words brought tears to both of them. I'm sorry. Kirapat gently comforted the small girl sitting in her lap until she fell asleep. When she tried to lay her down on the sofa comfortably, Bonita refused. More precisely, she didn't want to let go of her touch. You won't sleep well. I want to sleep like this. I'm afraid you'll get tired. I'm not tired, just a little tired. Endure it. I'll stay like this. Like a child. Don't have to call me that. If you feel guilty, then just be silent. You made me do this. Now your job is to make me happy, not to sit there telling me to do this and that. I have an appointment with my mother tomorrow. Then go. I won't go anywhere. Really? I don't want to go. I'm confused. That's your business. Babe. This time, Kirapat shouted firmly, making that cute little face pout. Suddenly, the small body left her lap and strode into the bedroom, finally locking the door with a loud click, leaving the person outside to sigh in resignation. The reason Bonita refused to go with her wasn't really complicated. She had shown this many times before. Whenever they argued or she felt upset about something, this silent act of protest would happen, a subtle way to let her partner know that Kirapat had done something to upset her. After that, her mother would call Kirapat over to talk, offering some advice on how to live together as a couple. From initially being indifferent toward Bonita, her mother gradually grew fond of her because of her charm and lively personality. She liked sweet, flattering, and approachable people, and Bonita was exactly that type. She was very good at winning over adults. Babe, then why won't you let me sleep with you? Kirapat stood up and walked to the firmly locked door to ask. After standing there for a long while without getting an answer, she reluctantly changed the subject. So, you really aren't going to bandage my wound? If it gets infected because you don't take care of it properly. Bonita's pouty face appeared at the bedroom door. The small girl stepped out and placed the first aid kit on the sofa, not very gently. However, that alone was enough to make Kirapat smile, because her girlfriend wasn't being too cruel. She was just upset that Kirapat got hurt. I won't complain if you're rough. Kirapat raised an eyebrow, speaking excitedly, in stark contrast to the tense atmosphere. You know I like that kind of pain, she added. The small girl glared at her with a self-satisfied look, but secretly, she wanted to go harder. She wanted to see if Kirapat really liked it as she said, or if she would cry out and tell her to stop. Bonita agreed to go with Kirapat to the big house, but in return, she had to tell her mother everything honestly. At the very least, Kirapat needed to be protected from dangerous actions by the person she considered the most important in her life. Is it worth putting yourself at risk? The woman sitting at the head of the table spoke calmly, though there was a hint of sternness. Kita, sitting opposite her, frowned at her sister's decision. Every gaze seemed to silently criticize Kirapat, which was exactly what Bonita wanted. I think it's worth it, because I also filed a supplementary assault complaint. I'll use my injuries and the areas that were attacked to work with the lawyer and see if we can file a more serious case. That's completely pointless, Queen. If you want him punished severely, just come talk to me first, her mother said firmly. I just wanted to try following the legal path. And do you think someone who does wrong is afraid of the law? This time, the woman's question immediately halted the argument. As for Kirapat, she sighed, wishing she could just punch Bonita so she would stop being upset about being dragged here only to be scolded by her mother and brother like this. It's over. Nothing can change that. Kirapat cut in, unwilling to hear any more complaints. The woman said nothing further, knowing her daughter's personality all too well. Her gaze shifted to her son. I heard you told the family that you are infertile? Yes, Mom. So, is that true? No. The woman sighed, realizing the trouble that could arise in the future. She might lose face from now on. And, do you know she isn't happy? The mother sighed again. And, do you know that she won't let you marry her? She will go find someone else. Kita had no idea about this and assumed Pyram didn't know either. Otherwise, she would have sent message already. At the very least, they were still mutually beneficial to each other. He had once promised to take care of her as a friend. So will you help her, or will you let her go? I will act as a friend, Mother. So, what is your conclusion? I want to help. And in the future, do you think you could love this person? Kita didn't hesitate to answer. It's hard to say. Loving and being loved are two different things. Khun Perf loves women. More importantly, she plans to take her sick mother abroad after marriage. I think that. Mother? The woman cut him off. Yes, haven't you already heard? Who is Pyram going to take abroad to live with her when her mother has already passed away from cancer? What? Kita didn't ask how his mother knew, because she always seemed to know things they themselves had no idea about. Otherwise, how could she have raised Kirapat to be queen and guided him to become king? To them, she was the most wonderful mother in the world. The young man immediately excused himself to call Pyram. The two girls sitting at the table remained silent, as the situation had become so tangled that there was nothing they could say. Don't worry about it. Let King handle his own matters. So, does that mean Mom won't pressure Pyking to get married anymore? And is that what you want me to do? No, I won't do that. But I do want a grandchild. I'm old now, and tired of work. I just want to stay home. This big house feels so empty with no one living here. It's no surprise that I want for a grandchild. Having a child requires a lot of preparation, Mom. Kirapat spoke up, while Bonita seemed lost in thought. Just as she hesitated, the woman's voice pulled her back to reality. Say whatever you want. Don't treat me like an outsider. Bonita shook her head and immediately offered a gentle smile. She had never once considered Kirapat's mother an outsider. I just want to say, I'm afraid of becoming a mother. The woman raised her brows. Why? I never received love or care from my own mother. If Queen and I decide to have a child in the future, I'm afraid I won't be able to be a good mother. And tell me, who in this world has ever had prior experience being a mother? Everything begins without knowing whether the journey will be long or short, whether you'll walk or run, whether you'll go straight or turn sideways. But it's true, before leaving the starting line, you must first be prepared. I'm not forcing you to do anything. I just want you to know what I hope for. Mom, are you sure you'll be happy raising my child? When I raised you, Queen, I never once felt it was a hardship. Just that single sentence was enough to sweep away all hesitation in Kirapat's heart. And it struck her so strongly that the young woman had to reconsider whether she was truly ready to begin a family and plan for it seriously. Kita had to go pick up Pyram at her family's big house after revealing the truth that her mother was no longer alive. Why are you here? Her father's harsh voice rang out the moment he saw him. Kita bowed before the older man. Even though he had made it clear that he no longer wanted any connection with him or his family, there was still a woman waiting for his arrival in this house. I'm here to improve her image. I don't know where you got that from. I don't either. The only thing I know is that the woman asked me to come pick her up. Kita answered honestly, while the man on the other side clearly showed displeasure. Especially when he saw the daughter he had chosen to inherit the family estate stepping out with a large suitcase, the middle-aged man's brows furrowed even more. Where do you think you're going? Come back here right now. I have no reason to stay here anymore. You know that, Dad. Pyram said this while looking straight into her father's eyes with utter seriousness. The eyes that had always been humble and fearful before him now burned with fury, because she knew that her mother, the only reason she had stayed and obeyed his every command, was gone and would never return. Your mother may be gone, but you are still my daughter. But you know very well what our agreement was to keep me here, to turn me into a controlled robot. And where exactly do you think you can go? That little company you built will never grow if you keep resisting me. Your mother's villa, or perhaps even— Please stop, Dad. Pyram cut in firmly. Kita watched the father and daughter arguing before him with mixed emotions. But if anyone asked whose side he was on, it was certainly Pyram's. Don't make me hate you even more. Where should I take you? Kita asked after the young woman got into the car. Despite being scolded and insulted repeatedly earlier, she didn't seem to care. Every threat had been ineffective. It seemed the only thing still tying her to her father's position as his daughter was her mother. To the airport. Kita raised an eyebrow, prompting her to explain further. I won't be a pawn in anyone's game anymore. Thank you, and I'm sorry for the trouble I've caused. But I think my life has become happier since I met you. Do you intend to rest, or are you running away to think things over? Pyram gave a faint smile. Even amid the chaos surrounding her, Kita and her younger sister Kirapat were still the only bright spots she had experienced, even if only for a brief moment. I won't come back here again, King. Kirapat and Bonita almost didn't make it to the airport because Pyram had booked the earliest flight. She had already heard a brief summary of the situation from her brother, and her gaze toward her softened. At the very least, she no longer showed her usual irritation. After playing around, you just come back like this? Have you thought it through?
Kirapat asked.
Do you miss me? Pyram countered. At least, having the three of them standing there seeing her off to the airport made her heart flutter slightly after the heartbreaking news she had received just a few hours earlier. She needed to leave quickly, or else her father would do anything to stop her. I don't know, but the others don't know. As Bonita stepped closer, the small girl whispered something softly, and the two of them hugged tightly. "Why are you two hugging?" Kirapat grumbled, making Pyram laugh even though her eyes began to sting, as if she was about to cry. Bonita was small, but she gave the warmest hugs. "Are you hugging your rival?"
Pyram asked.
Bonita shook her head, her face flushing red, and answered confidently, "Queen has never let anyone become my rival." Pyram let out a soft laugh after hearing that. Her sorrowful gaze turned toward the two siblings, full of gratitude, before Kita stepped forward and hugged Pyram tightly. This was the first time they had been this close, as previously the young man had always maintained a respectful distance from her. "Are you really not coming back? Could you reconsider?" Pyram shook her head. "The future might change, but right now, I have no reason to stay here."
Kita sighed.
"If you do come back, could you contact me first? If I don't come back, you can still contact me."
Then,
"I'll wait." Not long after, the electronic board announced that Pyram's flight had been moved up. The young woman waved goodbye one last time before turning away, walking briskly without looking back. That determination earned Kirapat's admiration. And perhaps, for the first time, she truly understood that her brother's heart had been completely broken. That, she realized, must have been the reason he agreed to marry as their mother had wished from the very beginning. Tathep was soon captured under a warrant. He was charged with offenses including unlawful detention, assault, rape, and several other accusations that ensured a long prison sentence. At first, he shouted loudly that he had done nothing wrong, but when the police presented evidence, including the fact that Karakanok had voluntarily come forward to report him, he immediately collapsed to the ground. Not to mention Kirapat's threats, which made him afraid to appear again. "Your body is much stronger now. It won't be long before you can be discharged," Kirapat said to the soon-to-be mother, Karakanok. "Thank you for being so kind to me and my child. Once I've given birth, I'll immediately start looking for work." "Have you thought about how you'll raise the child? Any plans yet?"
Kirapat asked.
"I plan to find a job with weekends off. I'm also looking for a safe place to live. It'll be a bit tough at first, but can I help take care of the baby?" "Huh." Karakanok and Bonita exclaimed in unison. Kirapat continued immediately. "I don't know if I'm good with children, if I can take care of them properly. If someday, babe, and I decide to have a child, I want to be sure I can do it right." "You wouldn't mind, would you?" "The baby is a boy." Kirapat cut her off firmly. "That child has nothing to do with this.
He doesn't know anything."
Don't think, or let him think, that he'll be looked down on because of his father's actions." Karakanok's face became sad, so Bonita gently touched her partner's arm to soothe her. She understood that Kirapat was very sensitive about family matters, and the reason she had hesitated before speaking was to ensure her mother, the most important woman in her life, would be happy. "Before Queen asks Karakanok, you should ask me first if I agree. Is Queen planning to take care of the baby alone?" Kirapat frowned. Of course not. Since choosing Bonita as her life partner, she had never wanted to do anything alone. "Sorry, I was a bit hasty," Kirapat said, then sighed, feeling as if all her thoughts had become tangled after trying to carry her mother's wishes in her heart. When Bonita smiled and spoke gently, saying that no matter what, she wanted to fulfill her partner's wishes. "You can try. If Karakanok agrees." Karakanok felt as if she were dreaming when she realized she was not alone during childbirth. Former colleagues came to offer congratulations, some bringing baby supplies as gifts, and the company offered to let her return to her previous position if she wanted. If she had to guess, it was likely thanks to Kirapat and Bonita's help after she agreed to let them assist with the baby during the first 3 months. "At first, if there's no problem, my mother allows you to stay at the house temporarily since newborns need breastfeeding. You'll also have someone to help with care. And the two of you, Babe, and I will also return home. I don't know how to thank you enough. You've given me a new life, even though we've never met before. Don't think like that. I don't plan to help you forever. Once you're settled, I'll let you return to your own life. But because the first stage will be difficult and I have many things I want to learn, our benefits coincide. Honestly, I don't think I would raise someone else's child if it weren't for myself. I want you to gain confidence. You mean? Yeah, it may sound bad, but I just want to be close to and spend time with the baby if I change my mind. Both Babe and I will benefit from this arrangement. And the one who will. The one who will take care of and help raise our child is Babe. We've discussed it thoroughly. During this period, I can find the answers to the questions in my heart. Raising a child was no easy task. Bonita had witnessed Karakanok struggling to pump milk for the baby, change diapers, bathe him, and do countless other tasks. She felt happy that her decision was helping someone else gradually build a life. They agreed that Bonita would help take care of the baby from morning until evening because she truly wanted to understand the hardships of raising an infant. Meanwhile, Karakanok, having just given birth, needed more rest. She had endured so much pain. Gavin was an easygoing baby, but still a little fussy, like most newborns. However, if one observed carefully, his babbling and demands actually followed patterns and had meaning. Kirapat had once said that this was infant language. Only the caregiver could truly understand it. Kirapat herself wasn't naturally good with children. She always maintained a serious demeanor and would turn away whenever Gavin's diaper was dirty. Yet when he needed something, she would do it gladly, never complaining, just a little hesitant at times. As for the lady, she could be seen smiling more often. Bonita wasn't sure whether it was because of the sound of a child's cries echoing through the house or because Kirapat had decided to bring Bonita to live with her. Rest. I'll take care of things, she said when she saw Bonita asleep from exhaustion. Even with help to look after Gavin, Bonita was still worn out. She couldn't imagine what life would have been like if Karakanok had to live alone after giving birth. Ma'am. It's me. Go to sleep. I'm free now. I'll help you keep watch over the baby. It's okay. If I have a child in the future, I definitely want to take care of them myself. I'm still learning now, but I don't want to be negligent. You're not being negligent at all. I'm happy to help. Really? If you decide to have a child with Queen, I'll help you raise it too. Yes, I'll help you raise the child. I'll leave half of my estate to you. Bonita gave a small, forced smile. The lady's personality was remarkably similar to Kirapat's. That's not necessary, ma'am. I haven't even made any decisions yet. I'm not rushing you, but the sooner the better. Queen loves her freedom. If nothing ties her down, she'll continue living as she does now forever. I understand. Besides love, don't you want something that will bind my daughter more firmly? Pardon, ma'am? Bonita didn't understand. Could a mother really be advising her to find a way to hold her daughter close? Do you know why people in the old days, well, in my time, often arranged marriages between two families? For a reputation? Exactly, but also to have an heir. A child becomes a golden chain connecting the two pillars. And even if your previous experience with marriage wasn't ideal, a child is the only thing that feels like a magical remedy. The more you see their face, the stronger you feel. Have you ever complained that you lack something real? Have you ever imagined a more serious marriage than what you have now? It's not just about having a child, but an engagement, marriage, or doing something serious. Do you want me to propose to P Queen? The woman laughed loudly. Indeed, she had come and whispered this in Bonita's ear while Kirapat was working. Previously, it had been difficult to have any private time because her daughter was overly protective of her partner, like a python tightly coiling around its eggs. I think if it were you, Queen wouldn't refuse. If you two get married, I'll give you this house as a gift. But on one condition, You both must live here forever and never move away. Bonita remained silent, her mind blank, unable to think clearly as she usually did. She had never imagined that she would be the one to propose to Kirapat, even once. Not because she didn't want to, but because she had never been brave enough to speak up. Nothing could guarantee that she would be a good life partner. The only thing she could be certain of was that her love for Kirapat was unparalleled. It had never diminished, only grown deeper with each passing day. The relationship between Mrs. Kiran and Bonita was improving steadily. Perhaps it was because they had more time to meet and talk. One could say that Bonita had now become the family's new cherished daughter. "Would you like to come into the kitchen with me today?" the woman asked, noticing the little girl's hesitant expression. She didn't intend to pressure her. She simply wanted to chat and plant a few thoughts in her mind. Whether Bonita chose to join or not was left to fate. Just by having Kirapat and Bonita agree to move into this house, the loneliness in her heart had already lessened considerably. Perhaps parents like her simply wanted the family to always be close. And if there were a grandchild, that would give Kita and Kirapat more reason to come home often.